Welcome back, everyone, to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. Today, I am speaking with Sam Tait, Paralympian, elite para-alpine skier, and a man who really defines resilience. After a life-changing accident left him paraplegic, Sam turned adversity into fuel. He's represented Australia at two Winter Paralympic Games, South Korea, Beijing, and he's even summited Mount Kosciuszko here in Australia unaided, and he's in training right now for the next Winter Olympics in March 2026, which are in Italy. This truly is a story of grit, mindset, and pushing human limits. Sam, it's an honor to have you on the show. Welcome.
Rob, thank you. That's quite an intro to follow, and it's kind of cool to really hear you say all that out loud because I don't think I give myself enough credit to really think back and look what I've done over the past 12 years now. So
It's
it's
pretty
cool to
cool.
have that reminder every now and then.
I often say to people, because we don't do it often, right? Like with your mindset, it's like climbing up that mountain, isn't it? Let's just keep going forward, keep moving
Mm,
forward. And then,
yeah.
I don't know, something happens. And sometimes I'll be like, you stop and you turn around and you look back, yeah, where you've come from. And I liken it to that's what I
Yeah.
see. This version of me, because it's and some in some moments I can't even see me because it's so far away, and I've come so far in my like personal growth and business growth and everything that it's really hard to recognize. And um, you sometimes need somebody to hold a mirror up to you, right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, it feels so real what I've done over the past 11, 12 years, and to
Mm.
kind of reminisce and think back of, oh my God, I have been to two games. I did that Kosciuszko hike, and it's just nice to kind of see that I can keep living, um, when my life was kind of at a, the lowest point it ever was back in 2013. So it's really nice to see where my life has been, or where the trajectory went over the last 12 years.
Yeah, well done. So I want to and look, if I ask you anything that you don't want to answer, just say. But
No worries.
let's go back to that moment. So from what I've understand, you had a motorcycle accident,
Yeah.
and so when like most people just can't relate to what it is that you've had to go through, but through those, I don't know, the hours and weeks that pass after that, what's your headspace like?
Yeah. Um, so I guess the motorbike day, the riding day, April 27th, 2013, it was one of the best days I've had, to be honest. I was riding my bike, had five mates around me, and we had just finished, I think it was like a 7 hour day riding around Wollongong and up Scarborough. And then, yeah, around 4 p.m., my life goes black. And I have vague memories of like the MRI machine, flying over the high bridge in a helicopter, laughing with my spinal surgeon just before I went under surgery. And then 3 days after that, I wake up and I don't remember 3 days after the surgery. I think I was talking, but I think I was just on a lot of pain medication, and maybe the adrenaline was still there and the shock just kind of keeping me somewhat sane. And then I remember waking up and kind of not like knowing something was wrong, but you didn't, no one ever told, like, no one came, or no one really told me, look, this is what happened. You've had a motorbike accident. You've broken your back from T10, T11, and you'll probably never walk again. I don't know. Like, I woke up and I just kind of knew that, oh shit, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm in hospital and I've got my family around me, and you take a bit to kind of realize that my life's not going to be the same ever again. And my mindset coming out, yeah, I've had cries. I've obviously had bad days where I've obviously wanted to give up. And I think I remember one night where it was just me and dad, and I just asked him, like, why me? What did I do to deserve this? And I remember him saying that no one's ever you're not going to be put into a tough decision that you're not going to be able to get out of.
Mm.
And that kind of, I guess, started the trajectory of where I am today. Of there's no situation that I'm going to be put into or get myself into that I'm not going to be mentally tough enough to get out of and push through and become stronger on the other side of that. So it took me 5 years to kind of um I guess really reflect on what had happened.
Mm.
So the first, I think, 5 years was getting out of hospital, getting into rehab, getting out of rehab, getting back to home, and finding my feet, or so to speak, my feet again, trying to find my rhythm in life again. And I found skiing, and then I just kind of put my disability aside, focused on skiing for 4 years, and tried to get to the 2018 Winter Paralympics. And then coming home from the 2018 games, I was like, it was almost like, oh, is that it? Like the last 4 years, I worked so hard for that moment, and it was amazing. It was great. But then I just needed,
Now what?
I wanted more. I don't know what it was, but I wanted more challenge, something else to aspire to, more to be. And then I kind of fell into a bit of a, I wouldn't say a depressive state, but a state where I just kind of reflected on what had actually happened 5 years ago. And for a few months there, uh, I was just hating not being able to walk and not being able to walk upstairs or um, go to the bathroom as normal. And then um, I don't like to really focus on negative situations in like life. So I accepted that, and then I think it wasn't so much as sad, but it was like a grieving reflection process for a few months, and then moved on and just kind of pushed for skiing again, and then pushed more in the gym, and yeah, life got a lot better, and life is really good at the moment.
That's I want to really thank you for sharing that. That I don't know whether you're aware of it, but that was completely raw and unfiltered and so honest about where you've been in. Obviously, you've covered a long period of time in a couple of moments there, and
Yeah,
I guess the look, you probably don't know this about me, but the only way I can kind of relate to this, and when you said, why me, I lost my daughter to anorexia and suicide on the 28th of April in 2023. And, there are so many moments that I will ask, like, why? Why did you have to take her? Like, why didn't you take me instead? Like, why couldn't you just fix it? Like, why, all that kind of stuff. And then you're there and you're like, I like you, I can't look on the negative side of things. I look at the beautiful side of the extra time I got to spend with her during her illness and things like that. But there comes a point where you've got to make that decision to either move forward and have this amazing life and perhaps even do things that you never thought you could do, like go to the Olympics or, doing some of the things that I'm focusing on now that
yeah,
wouldn't have happened. Like I'm doing things now that I really never ever wanted to do because the only reason I'm doing them is because my daughter's not here. But it's having a
yeah,
global impact on people in such a positive way and change. And she wanted to have, when she recovered, wanted to have a change. And it's like, well, we're doing it together, but we're just doing it differently. And there are moments where I have some deep sadness, but then realize that like she sits on my shoulder and say, okay, Dad, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. And um, I think, like you said, 5 years down the track, you go to the Olympics and stuff, and then it's like that's over, and it's like well, now what?
Mm.
For me, the biggest thing we've done today, we've raised like $56.5 million. And
Wow.
shit, like the biggest thing we did last year, finished in November last year, which was changing the social media laws from age 13 to 16. Liv's story is a part of that. And
Beautiful.
now it was a little bit like, well, what now?
Mm.
But life just seems
Yeah.
to have this way of just presenting what that next thing is. And I like what like your dad said, and what you now perhaps have as your mantra is, I really believe that whatever you want to call it, the universe only gives you enough stuff that you can handle. And the higher performer you are, it gives you more SH1T to be able to navigate. And that's what makes you Sam Tait and why you're so great.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful way of looking for yourself and looking at it that your daughter is still with you,
Mm,
helping you achieve what you're doing today. Like it's like, yeah, she's gone and that is devastating. And I'm sorry to hear that.
thank
But
you.
then there's a beautiful side to it that she's still here helping you out and helping you
Yeah.
achieve, I guess, her change in maybe what she wanted to do as well.
I'm just the mouthpiece. She's the one with the message. Like I have her
Yeah,
ashes like in an urn, and like when I go places and speak public, I take that with me if it's appropriate. Like I wouldn't do it at a school or somewhere like that. But
yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like to meet the Prime Minister, I took her to and introduced her to the
Beautiful.
Prime Minister, and it has an impact. Um, So yeah, getting back to like your journey now. Obviously, before, from what I understand, you were a skier. Obviously, before the accident. But how do you go from? Do you know what? I want to go to the Olympics, Paralympics. Like, like, how do you come up with that decision?
um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of just um
You obviously, before that, had a high achieving mindset, right? It's not just something that you've had an accident and now it's like, oh, I want to achieve the world. It's like you were already a go-getter.
uh yeah, I think up until so I was 22 when I had my accident, and I was still searching for who I was. I didn't really know who I was, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to, uh, I guess, maybe show the world what I can do or who I am. And I think having my accident really, I guess, grounded me and I could kind of start again, start a blank slate. And the Paralympics, I guess, was in my mind, but it was more of I'm going to come out of this injury stronger, more resilient than ever. And I'm going to show people that, yeah, you can have a devastating accident, illness, or a huge loss in your life. And yeah, it's sad and it's not what we no one wants that in lives, but there's two ways of looking at it. You can go down I guess the negative path and keep questioning what happened, how do I change it? Wish I didn't do that in the past. I wouldn't be where I am today. Or there's the other way where you just grab it, you grab it by the horns and you just ride it and you keep going and you keep projecting positive outlooks and try and find the silver lining to what you're going through. And for me, it was, I guess, the start of my positive outlook was I wanted everyone, so my family and friends were all obviously pretty devastated.
Mm,
And I think it was harder for them to see me going through what I did than it was for me because I knew that I was tough enough to get through this. I was okay. I'm not in pain. I just had to kind of learn how to, I guess, live with this injury. And for me, I wanted to show that I was happy and tough enough and I was getting better for my family and friends. So in my head, if they saw me happy and and they're kicking goals at rehab, then they would they would heal and they would recover as well. So they would be happier and they would get back to their old lives and their old way of
Yes.
thinking. Yeah, he's doing okay. We can all kind of go back to a normal life, so to speak, I guess.
I think you hit on a really, really important point. Like you're at age 22 and trying to find your place in the world and all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. I reckon I was still doing that in my 30s and 40s. And like if I'm really honest with myself, in terms of like knowing who I am and what I'm supposed to do, is probably only come in the last 3 years.
Mhm.
And part of my clarity has come through live. It's come through the tragedy, the heartache,
Yeah,
and everything.
absolutely.
And it's weird how life presents itself that way to, give you so much life change that you have to change. You can either go
Yeah.
down, I could turn
Mhm.
to alcohol, drugs, whatever, completely, horrible life, which is
Yeah.
completely not me because I'm always been what's empowering, what's uplifting, how do I help others? And so
Yeah.
I used it more into that space. And, as I stand here today, I've never had more clarity, um, happiness, focus in my life, apart from obviously the obvious of I want Liv to be here with me doing it.
Yeah.
But there's something through that journey. And so I'm 56, so I have a lot more years on you. Um, but with your mindset and everything, like, do you know what? Life and clarity and everything for you is just going to get better and better. And I love that about life. You never know what's going to come,
Yeah.
but it just comes. I wanted to talk about like specifically about your sport. I had a look at some of the photos, so to kind of give people watching this a bit of an explanation. So you're sitting with your feet off the ground in like a kind of angle back chair on one ski, and your ski poles have got little skis on the end of them for
Yeah.
balance and stuff. And I saw some
Mhm.
photos where it looks like you're at about 60-degree angle and somehow staying up, and you do like the slalom, like these high mountain top blooming steep mountain runs, and you go down as fast as you blooming can.
Yeah. 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 Sit skiing is one of the stupidest, craziest sports I probably could have picked. If you ask my
You could have
mum,
done curling or something like
I
that.
could have done curling. I mean, I wanted something that I could kind of push the boundaries and be on the same playing field as everyone else. Like you get on snow, and I think the only thing that's stopping you is your ability to ski down a hill. Like I'm in a sit ski, I've got different equipment, but if I train hard enough and put time into my sport, I can, I can go to a Paralympic Games and I can be pretty good on the ski hill.
Mm.
So yeah, it's terrifying, especially sitting at the top of a downhill course and you can see 2Ks to the bottom of the hill and you've got to
And what sort of speed are you
somehow
getting
get.
to?
I think I've never clocked myself in a race, but in training, I think I've got to 127 kilometers an
Holy
hour.
crap.
Yeah. So it's, it is scary, but once you get over 100, things,
Doesn't matter whether it's 150 or 120, you don't know.
yeah, and you're not really thinking, you're focusing, you're working on or reacting on habit and experience and I guess knowing where you're going and just committing. Because if you don't commit, that's when you're going to get really hurt, and that's when things are going to go wrong.
So how do you get to, because obviously a completely different style of skiing to obviously
Mm.
standing skiing. How long did it take you to get to that level where you said, you know what, I want to keep pushing this to get to the Paralympics? Because that's like just next level.
Yeah, it was. So I went 4 months after my accident. I went down to Thredbo and tried a sit ski for the first time.
Yeah.
My spinal surgeon, he recommended not to go because my rods and screws, I think he said, takes about a year to fuse together and be strong enough again.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, look, I hear you, but I need something. I need to focus on something. I need to find an outlet to focus on, and went down. I think I did 6 hours, 12 hours in a weekend, and I loved it.
Wow.
And at the time, so going back, I guess 2 weeks before my accident, my parents had just signed a contract to buy a ski lodge in Perisher.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of, I guess, fate that I had an accident. I went jet skiing, and this was kind of, I guess, this is kind of my path that was unseen, but I was going down it no matter what.
Mm.
And then 2014, I was like, yeah, I'll move down to the lodge with mum and dad where they started this um, business and ski lodge, and I'll learn how to ski. And initially, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll be good enough to go to Paralympic Games. Maybe 8 years, maybe 2022, maybe China. And then I got good quickly because I was obviously living up there during on the snow, and I could ski any day I
As much
wanted
as you
to.
liked.
And sorry,
As much as you liked.
yeah, yeah. So it was. I had a mate I had a mate, Jack, who came down every every weekend from Nowra, and then I don't know how he got so much time off, but he was there, I reckon, for a good 60 days of that winter, and then the next winter following, and we just skied every day, and just we would have done, I reckon, 6 hours a day for the first season, and it just got better and better, and then was approached by Paralympics Australia, and went into a talent camp, and then it kind of just snowballed for them with a few,
Surely you snowballed. Yeah.
yeah, excuse the pun, but yeah, there's been a few, um, I guess, injuries and
Of course.
pressure sores, which I'm learning as I go throughout the years, which have been a bit of hard times and just again why me moments.
Yes.
But um, yeah, you take it as it comes, and if it wasn't my time to ski that day, then or that month, then it's yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about coaching. So you specifically, like the guy that you were talking about, is he specifically like, does he do the skiing as well, or did you have to get some specialized coaching to help you improve?
Yeah, so Jack was just a mate. He had no idea what a sit ski was. He was
Yep.
just there to help out, be around, I don't know, help me if I needed help. But I got coaching or initial coaching, I guess, ski lessons from another good mate who I'm still really good friends with, Tom Hodges, who has been involved in Disabled Winter Sports Australia for the good part of my skiing career, and kind of taught me how to sit ski. He would jump into sit ski when I was good enough to be solo, and would just go rip around Perisher and two sit skis. And that was really cool because you had, um, I mean, there's not many sit skis around.
Mm,
I guess you don't see them a lot around the world, and especially around, I guess, Australia and Perisher. So you do feel a bit alone and isolated.
mm.
But when you've got one of your best mates who's in a sit ski, sitting skiing next to you, and you're skiing together and you're on the same playing field, you kind of feel like, yeah, I am enough in my sit ski. I can
Yeah.
still rip these hills, and it's yeah. I don't know if Tom realized that he was doing it, if he just wanted to jump in a sit ski and have fun, or if he realized how much it affected me mentally to kind of accept who I was and who I was becoming.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's little things like that throughout the years where people might not realize that they're helping you get past a certain barrier.
Yes.
And it's yeah, it's like humanity is still very kind and loving, and people out there do really nice and kind things,
Yeah.
unknowing if it's going to help someone through a hard time. Yeah.
And so given obviously our landscape here in Australia, we don't have snow all year round. And
Yeah.
being at the elite level, I guess a little bit like tennis, they chase summer all year round
Yeah.
around the world. You mentioned before we started recording that, like in training for next year, you've got to go, I suppose, live over in Europe for like 5 months prior to the games to get.
Yeah.
I guess you've got to qualify and compete and to give you
Mhm.
confidence, all that kind of stuff. Is that how it works?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we can't ski here and get good training, obviously, or any training during summer. So we pack up around November, mid-November, and go to Europe, and you're based over in Europe from like, yeah, November through to March, whatever it looks like for that season. And then with you might come back for Christmas and New Year's if one you
Okay.
can afford it with the airfares and
Yes.
stuff like that. But normally it's you might just stay over there and just get a little Airbnb for 2 weeks in somewhere a bit warmer off the snow on the coast somewhere where you can just kind of get warm again, revamp, get some sun, and
Yes.
go again for the next like 2, 3 months.
What's the difference, say, between the making it into the top 10 to like at an Olympic level?
Yeah,
What are you like? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you consistently get up into say, the top 5 to 10?
I think easy answer is just time on snow, really.
Right. And is that the
Um,
difference between where, say, you are right now and like the top in the world? They're just like they live on the mountain. It snows all year round. They can just ski all year round. Is that the difference?
yeah, I mean, like if you're in Europe, I know the Dutchies, so the Netherlands team, all year round they can be on snow, and during like their summer, so now they can be on snow within a 12-hour car ride or an hour flight. So they have 2 weeks on at a glacier, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, all throughout our summer. Oh, sorry, all throughout our winter.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's their summer. So they travel to like Switzerland, Saas-Fee, where that's 3,200 meters and they've got snow farming there and the glaciers. It's not great, but you can still get some really good speed training in.
Yeah.
So obviously, we don't have that um, all year round. And in Australia, you can't really get good speed training in
Right.
because we don't have the resources, the nets, the hill space. You need a certain width so it's safe and you're not going to crash and, I don't know, hit a rock or whatever. So
Yeah.
you can still get some really good training in, absolutely. But so my disciplines, downhill and super G, they're the two fastest disciplines, which you'd be lucky to get one one average speed day in Australia,
Right.
and then you got to go overseas to really get some good training over there.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tricky. And it's the thing about I mean, you think about the Summer Olympics. The thing about the Winter Olympics is just about every single sport they have, you can die. Like that's how brutal it is, right? And yours with the speed and like you said,
that's true.
or going off the side into a net or whatever.
Mm.
Like it's unbelievable. I mean, I love the Winter Olympics. It's and the Winter Paralympics. It's incredible what you guys do. I don't know how you sit at
Yeah.
the top of the hill and have the courage to just go down. When you I
Oh,
remember
it's.
asking, sorry, keep going.
Oh, I was going to say it is terrifying, and I've noticed since 2019, I was at a hill, and the snow quality was probably the worst snow quality I've had to race a speed race on.
Yeah. And what does that look
And
like? Is that mushy? Like it's too mushy so you can't hold or
yeah, so it's like soft. The snow's not binding together, so if you
slide?
press on it, it's going to break away and become, I guess, a lot of holes and ruts in it.
Right.
And I remember sitting at the top of the downhill, and my ski tech, he comes up to me and he's like, the course is pretty dangerous. There's sit skis getting pulled in front of me, behind me. Not everyone is doing the course, or not everyone wants to race. And he goes, do you want to race? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna send this. I'm gonna send this and get. I want to win, obviously. And he's like, that's good. That's what I want to hear. And then after that, there was no talk about the course being dangerous, it being unsafe. It was like, remember your line. You can ski. You've done the work up to this point.
Yeah.
Let's just go out there and send it. And then I got, I think I was sixth at that race, I think, at a World Championships.
Nice.
Yeah, which was the career best back then. Um, and then leading up to China, which was in 2022.
Yeah.
Coming into China, I had never felt more prepared and mentally ready for a race in my life.
Yeah.
In
Nice.
my head, there was no doubt that I wasn't going to be on the podium.
Yeah. Nice.
And I mean, obviously, not obviously, well, I didn't make the podium, but coming into China, I had all faith and all confidence that I was going to be on that podium, hopefully first, but on the podium. And I mean, talking about China now, it still hurts me what happened. And I will never be able to talk about it and not feel sad,
Yeah.
not regret that I one turn that just changed everything.
Yeah, it's just a moment,
Uh,
isn't it? Like a split second,
it's a
millisecond that
split,
just
yeah,
can be the difference between first place and you're off the course.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So it was a huge learning curve, and over the past 3 years since China, I've worked quite hard with our psychologist,
Mm.
because I have noticed since China, my recognition of fear is definitely increased.
Right.
And that's probably not great for my sport, where I need to let go of
You
that
fear
fear
less. Yeah.
and just send it. So um, it's probably a mixture of getting older, being a bit more risk adverse. And if I hurt myself, I'm going to be out of skiing, and then I have to obviously push around in a wheelchair. If I break an arm, I'm going to be immobile for a good part of probably 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So I don't like that that is happening, but I'm aware of it. And we're just kind of, yeah, pushing through that and working through the acknowledging the fear and knowing that it's there, but it's not going to hold me back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, if you went into the Olympics and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm fearful of this, and yeah, look, I just want to finish the race. You're not going to get to the end of the Olympics and say, yeah, I had that mindset. Yeah, I won a gold. Like that's never going to happen. You're not accidentally going to win a gold,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah.
you've got to
Yeah.
have that way. And I'm sure that like the way that you just language that, this will show up in other areas of your life too. You know, like you become, I see it all the time with people.
Absolutely.
They're going along like this, and they're never accidentally going to go up. It's either going to stay like this for a while, or goes down. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you've got the fear of like sending it down the mountain, but that'll show up somewhere else as well. What's the other fear? I will talk about business in a
Mm,
second, but starting the business, should I start the
mm,
business? Should I not start the business?
absolutely.
Should we do it? Should I, there's all
Yeah.
these different fears. So I'm sure this
Yeah.
is creating a massively mentally tough version of you as you go through all this and work with the psychologist around those things.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see it correlating to my life outside of sport. And like, if not, sorry, if I want to do something and it resonates with who I am, with my morals, and I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I will regret that I never did it or never tried and succeeded or tried and failed. That I don't like those terms because if you tried something and you failed, you're going to learn something on the way.
Yeah.
And the next time you try, you'll succeed. So um, yeah, in this next step of life, I'm definitely learning a lot with this new business, and yeah, it's very scary. But
Mm.
at that moment, I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I wish I tried this.
Yep.
I don't want to think, oh, you just went the safe path and
That's right.
now you're still a great life. But I want to look back and be like, yeah, you tried
I get
and
that. Yeah.
yeah,
You only fail if you
exactly.
don't try it,
Exactly.
I reckon. Yeah. I want to talk
Yeah, 100%.
a bit about the training. Firstly, from the altitude side of things, because we can't get to, you mentioned 3,200 meters there before, we can't get to that height in
Yeah.
Australia. In terms of I think you know better than I would, but is it over something like once you start to get over 2,200 meters or something like that, where it really does start to affect your oxygen uptake and that kind of stuff? These guys that are training in Europe all the time, they have a massive advantage. Do you find that you do need to do altitude training to assist with your preparedness, or not really?
Um, it's not so much altitude training, it's getting in uh, the cardio training so you can, so your body gets used to that lactate threshold and
Mm,
then getting rid of that as quickly as possible. So being able to recover really quickly.
yeah,
I've noticed altitude's never really affected me if my cardiovascular fitness is pretty good.
yeah.
And I've had a great coach since or great S&C coach, Kelly, since 2018. And we've been through some brutal cardio sessions, but I'm aware that it's all leading up to obviously the pinnacle events, world champs, all the games, and building that cardio base at high altitudes. That doesn't really affect me as long as you can
Right.
absorb enough, I guess, oxygen from your blood and you can get rid of your lactate threshold quick. Yeah, for me, it's high altitude training hasn't been. I've never really done high altitude training apart from being on snow at high altitudes.
Yeah, okay. And so what does your training look like? Obviously, you need a lot of upper body strength and like shoulders, core, back, etc. Well, I suppose upper
Yep.
back. What's your strength and conditioning training look like?
Yes, at the moment it's 4 days in strength in the gym, and then 3 or 4 days, 4 to 5 days on my bike. Um, it's a lot of so for strength, you've got a lot of, I guess, explosiveness built
Mhm,
in.
mhm.
So you want to be able to, when you sit skiing, you're leaning like this way or this way, and you
Yeah,
want to be able to hold that. So ISO hold down at your obliques,
yeah,
and then kind of really move quick out of that to the other side.
yeah,
So a lot of abs, a lot of lower back and obliques, and then shoulder health for mobility. And if you crash, you want your shoulders to be able to go in weird backwards positions without desiccating.
yeah,
So you can kind of almost like a rag doll, you can kind of go down a hill, crash, but you can get up. You're not going to stretch something or hurt something, and you can go again, I guess. So,
yeah.
um, and yeah, and strong enough to, I guess, be able to keep your shoulder in its socket if you have
Yeah,
a crash.
yeah.
Yeah, and just I guess overall fitness. You want to be as fit and as strong and explosive as you can.
What type of like the beauty of Zoom, you can't tell that I'm a short guy. I'm only 5'5". And I
Oh
find
yeah.
that a lot of the Olympians that I've spoken to, I say, so what are my chance? Obviously, I'm 56, so not many chance in some of these elite sports. And they say, no, sorry, Rob, you're too small. What's the perfect build for like a downhill skier?
Um, Probably,
Like in
I mean,
like,
there's,
is heavier make it your advantage to go down quicker, or is lighter better to go down quicker
I mean, it's the middle. So if you're heavier, you need to be able to move your weight quickly
from side to side? Yeah.
from side to side. And obviously, heavier, you go down quicker, but you've got to be able to move that weight as well.
Roll.
And if you're lighter, you obviously you don't go down as quicker. So you've got to be able to be strong enough to create more pressure in the ski so you can accelerate and go faster.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's probably just like lean, not much fat, but I mean, there's hit skis in all different figures and different aspects. So um, you just want to be strong and quick, moving, like be able to move and explosive.
Yeah.
And then I think most probably 80% is mental toughness and mental, just being tough on your mental game and acknowledging the fear factor and
Having the
yeah,
belief.
belief, 100%.
So let's transition over to the business side of things. I see this being one of the toughest things for athletes at the highest level. It's like when the like making that decision to retire, and then you've been working so hard for so long for a moment, like whether it be the Olympics, if that's the moment. And then using that mindset to transition over to business. Some people you're like looking to do that now, and then run a new business as well as being competing at the highest level. How are you navigating that for yourself? And like, will the Olympics, you think, be your last like international event?
Italy Paralympics will definitely be my last event. That's
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
I I've been skiing since 2013, and I'm just mentally, I think, pretty tired with back-to-back winters, traveling overseas, going away from home, um, not really being able to like settle down anywhere
Yeah.
and have like a base. And like it sounds amazing to be able to go overseas every year for 5 months and ski. But when you're overseas training, you don't get to you go to a ski hill, you see one run, and that's all you ski on. And you ski that run
Yeah.
20 times a day,
Over and over and
and then
over.
you go back and you eat, and then you gym, and you dinner, and then you go to bed. And like it's great. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've loved it, but it does get very mentally tiring. So yes, Italy will be my last um, winter event. I would I don't know if I'll be able to step away from elite sport completely. I'll probably
Yes.
look at a less taxing um, summer sport just to keep my fitness up. And if it works out, we might look at Brisbane 32. But I don't know.
Okay.
It'd be very cool to go to Brisbane if I
Yeah.
can, if I'm physically um, fitness is up to it. But yeah, then stepping out of, well, I mean, thinking about retirement, which is very scary because skiing has made me the person I am today. And I wouldn't be the person I am today without the years of skiing. So um, it's scary and it's different, but I am very excited to move on to my next thing of life.
Yeah. You've got that mindset that says, well, I've got to do something.
That's it.
No, I think that would be super cool. Yeah, um, to go to Brisbane. Well, so tell us about how your business is.
Sorry, you broke up. What was that?
Oh, I said so. Tell us a little bit about how you take that mindset into business, and it's just like a top 1% mindset. And how do you? What is your business? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So the business is a recovery health wellness center where we've got infrared saunas, float tanks, hot and cold ice baths, and a traditional sauna, so you can hot cold therapy. You've got your compression boots or your compression garments, foam rollers, all that accessory type of recovery. And I mean, like I touched on before, I think it's I've had this idea of opening up a recovery center for 4 years now.
Mhm.
And like I said before, I would regret it if I didn't try. So my mindset is I will try, I'll give it my all. And if I fail, then I won't have any regrets. And obviously I don't want to fail. So I'm not going to fail. But it's
Right.
I think taking that first step of um like I mean registering my business name back in 2022, I was like, okay, yep, this is the first step. Let's keep pushing, let's find a space, let's um I don't know, get plans drawn up, let's get some sort of concept out there. And it's taken a very, very long time to where we are today with construction and council and all of that. And I was just there this morning, just running through things in my builder, and it's cool to see the space coming together because it for the last 3 years it's felt like still a dream in my head and it's on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that I can see frames go up, I can get an idea for room sizes, and it's kind of cool. I can visualize. It's kind of like skiing. I can visualize where I'm going, and
Yeah. Nice.
I have a I have a full plan of what I want it to look like, how I want it to grow, who I want to connect with, and just build a really holistic center down in Jindabyne, and hopefully make it like nationally known that you can come here and it'll be a place of recovery, and we'll provide a lot of good services out of the center.
Yeah, fantastic. I love to like to hear people's dreams come into a reality because a dream is just a dream. You got to take the action to turn it into a reality. And
Yeah.
so you said before opening June, is that right?
Uh, yeah, I'm hoping in May, June, but probably towards the end of June. I'm praying.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So how do
But we'll
you
see.
how do you navigate right now, like in your mind space? Okay, Paralympics coming up, elite level, business,
Yeah.
competing, training, business, competing, business, competing. How do you navigate that? Because you want to take time for
Yeah.
both, but
Yeah, it's I mean in my head it'll all work out how it's meant to work out. But right now I'm I guess only thinking about what I can control. So business side of stuff, getting all the back end, the online stuff sorted, and then because I'm not on snow at the moment, it's just gym training. So
yeah,
getting fit, getting strong for the winter season. And then yeah, once it's gonna be, I don't really know how it's all gonna work, and how it will all work. And if I can't figure out how to go overseas for 2 months or 3 months and leave the business here, and then I will have to um, call Italy and not go to Italy.
right.
But up until that point, I'm going to put everything into the business and skiing as best I can and be ready for whatever decision I make, whether it's, yeah, let's go to Italy or let's just retire now. We've had a good run
Yeah.
and let's fully focus on the business. It's probably not the best idea to go to Italy in terms of, I guess, financials for the business. But if I don't try and I don't, um, yeah, if I don't try to go to Italy, then I will definitely have regrets of, oh, I maybe
Yeah.
could have gone. I could have
Why didn't
been
I
there.
push harder? Why didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting, I guess, next 12 months. But we will, yeah, it'll all work out.
Just a couple more questions. One of the things that I like talking to high level people about is just how much I love the work. I love the process of the work. So I love the training, right? I love
Yeah.
the work of the training. And I've heard some really elite athletes say that they actually don't like competing, but they love the work getting up to the
Mm.
competing. And it sounds like for you, let's say you take Paralympics off off the horizon, then perhaps that doesn't give you something to aim for through your training. So you've always got to be aiming for something. But I'm just curious, do you love the work of all the training?
Yeah, I do. I do love getting in the gym, pushing out, pushing out weights day after day. And then when you finish like an extremely hard cardio session, you just know that you're going to be better the next day and the day after that. And you keep repeating that. And then when time comes, 4 years, 8 years down the track, you can look back and be like, oh yeah, I did all this work for this one moment.
Mm,
And then it's worth every bit of pain and sweat that went into it.
yeah, yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Sam, if people want to follow your journey, what's the best way? To just following your name on Instagram or something like that, is there to just watch your journey and then support your business when it comes online?
Yeah, yeah. I've got Instagram, Sam Tait _7 is my Instagram, and then my business name is under there, but it's called Revive Jindabyne on Instagram as well. Starting to get a social media launch ready for. Oh, I mean, there's photos on the Revive page, but I'm starting to try and ramp that up over the next few months and get people interested and ready for that opening.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm going to put those links below the podcast description here.
Thank
There's
you.
absolutely incredible photos of you at like 60 degrees going down the mountains on you're on your
Yeah,
60
it's a
and
lot of
everything.
fun.
So I'm going to post some of those along with this podcast. I'm going to
Amazing.
give you the final word in a second, but just truly want to thank you for your time here today and just giving us an insight into your mindset and how strong you are. And it's a real credit, like you said up front, as to when somebody holds up a mirror sometimes and you see how far you have come and everything that you have done over the time. It's really commendable to you, and it's an honor to have you here on the show. I want to give you the final word with what would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received. Um, I think in any aspect of life, find something that resonates with your core morals, and it you will open up and you will live a life that is so fulfilling and rewarding, and you will resonate that onto other people.
I love that. You've mentioned morals a couple of times, and I can really relate to that because I come across a bunch of people that's like, that is not resonating with them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I really love where you're coming from. Sam, thanks
yeah.
so much for being on the show today.
No, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.